Good evening, family. Welcome back to World Views with Ken Mills. Tonight is a very special night. This is our season 1 finale. Now, you guys stuck with us the entire year through about 16 different episodes, and there's been a climactic change. When we first started, we didn't know where we were going, but now we know where we're going now. With the change with the presidency, also with the current climate of the world, we know where we are now. So we wanted to come back to a very dear topic, that topic being the black man. We kind of covered this on the Further Culture episode earlier in the season, but tonight we have a different slant on it. So tonight we're going to have a multi-generational talk with several strong black men in our community. We're going to cover a myriad of topics. What I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you to stay tuned and stay close, okay? Don't change the phone dial or anything that you're on right now. Stay focused in, because tonight's going to be epic and classic. We have 3 illustrious guests, and I promise you, they're going to be informative and entertaining. So just hang on tight. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. You're now here with World Views with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Now, my first illustrious guest, I'm going to give a brief introduction here. This gentleman, this gentleman is one of our strongest members of the community. This gentleman here is a tenured entrepreneur. Also, he's a corporate titan. And also, he's a very devoted father and husband. Now introducing to you, Michael Matthews. How are you today?
Ken, I'm doing well. How you doing, sir?
All right. Now, so I want to cover one quick piece with you. So I understand you're in the IT field, right?
That I am.
All right. So how did you start up?
Well, it's a spiritual journey.
Okay.
I actually started out in banking. I was a banker for many, many years. One of the top loan officers for one of the local banks here.
Okay.
But unfortunately, during that career path, there was a change in the financial market back in the 2007, 2008. And Ken, at that point, I had to make a choice for the better of my family, and unfortunately could no longer remain in the banking industry. As a result of such, market crashed. And so we had to make some changes. One thing led to another, and I found myself back into the field that I was going to school for, which was electronics engineering. And that led me to IT. It led me to an entrepreneur business in IT. I started my own IT company called General Contracting Services. And from there, ended up with a major contract with a grocery food chain called HEB. If you look into a lot of these stores right now, you look up, you see a little device called an access point. An all-black crew of black engineers installed all that equipment. So it landed me back into the field where I am now as a infrastructure manager for one of the major chemical companies globally. And that's how I ended up back in IT.
Okay. So Throughout that process, when you secured that major contract, were there any obstacles that you faced?
Yeah, initially there was some obstacles because there was no one like me, meaning there were not a lot of black men in that position that could be in a position to be looked at to have a contract with a major food chain like HEB. And not only that, to have a full crew of nothing but black engineers. My crew included a major engineer that worked for a major IT company called Black Box, major. I had a professor from one of the major universities on the team, and along with some other very smart and very well-known IT individuals at that time. And so initially it was tough because they didn't want to give us the stores that they were giving all the other crews. So we had to basically prove to them that we belonged there. After a period of time, we ended up doing all of the major HEBs here in the Houston and surrounding areas. And I'm truly grateful for that. And HEB is a great company, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity.
Indeed. So we'd like to salute you on that one because me and my wife, we frequent HEB a lot. The Bunker Hill location, we love it.
Okay.
All right. So also, you said that you kind of took a variation away from, a veer away from your schooling and you were in banking. So when you were in banking and you rose to that high level, did you also experience any obstacles in that spectrum?
Well, banking right off the top, Kenny, is not a environment where there were any blacks during the time I was there. Mm-hmm. I can share an experience with you when I first got hired as a teller at the bank in the late 80s. And one of the patrons that normally comes into the bank, she went through her normal routine. She slid her deposit in. I went to grab the deposit. She looked up, saw my face, and she quickly grabbed the deposit back. So at that point, I realized that this was unique because evidently she had not been accustomed to seeing a black man in a position in the bank at that time. Over the course of my career in banking, it became evidently clear that I was a unicorn. Mm-hmm. I was not the norm. Matter of fact, I wasn't, from an education standpoint, I was an anomaly even from that perspective. Most of colleagues were Texas A&M or UT grads. So, but here I was. And God allows things to happen for a reason. I take no credit, although I can tell you when I was younger, you couldn't tell me anything.
Right.
But yes, so there were many obstacles that I had to overcome as a black man working in the banking industry.
Okay. So I heard you mention God, and I know that you're very strong on faith. So are there any things that you're doing to give back to the community faith-wise?
Well, there are, I truly believe that when you have a relationship with God, and God is the foundation, is the cornerstone of your faith and everything that you do, you can't help but to be able to give back to Him. One way I do that is to make sure that my sons, my daughter, are thoroughly knowledgeable and understand that there's nothing you can do without Him. You have to continuously put your faith and trust in God. I know that sounds cliche, and I know that sounds like that's easy to do by saying those words, but it's not, especially when you live in the world that we live in today, when there's just so many worldly distractions. Having children and to raise them in a way that they're going to be looked at somewhat differently because they can't engage in activities that their peers are engaging in, and being able to hold them accountable for that and put them in God's hands and try to continue to allow them to grow their spiritual relationship with God and trying to be an example of that. We're not perfect, and our children understand that, but they do understand that without God in their lives, without their spiritual relationship with God, that nothing is possible.
Okay. So I take it that you're very strong on equipping them for the cold world that we face.
Yeah, it's a cold world. One thing I share with them is I'm preparing you so that you can be self-sufficient, not relying on us as your parents, but allowing us to be able to guide you so that you can be self-sufficient. And what self-sufficient means is will help you put yourself in a position to where you can be a member of this society and be a contributor to this society and not a taker of the society.
So when you mean a take of society, do you mean those that look for bailouts or,
Yeah.
or those that don't want to earn?
Well, looking for a bailout is, for the most part, is not necessarily overall bad, because if you're constantly being put in a position to where you can't get the support that you need, looking for help, looking for some guidance, bailing out to your selfish ways of trying to think you know what you're doing and you know you're not trying to get any help, sometimes you got to bail out and understand that let me go get some help. Now, as far as being able to be being a taker basically doesn't want to work for what they want to achieve. They'll sit back and take it because it's easy, rather than work for it and achieve it.
Okay. And I take it throughout your life process because I'm hearing your story. And basically, you've earned, because, I mean, those different achievements that you have, you worked hard in order to get it. And you went through all different types of tribulations to achieve it.
Yeah, nothing comes easy in life. If you want it, if you want to achieve it, it's never going to be easy. There have been times where you didn't even know where your next meal was going to come from. And don't get me wrong, there have been times where successfully, I thought success was having a nice car. I thought success was being in, a banker at the, a nice position at the bank. But I remember where a nice elderly black woman saw me sitting behind my desk at the bank. And she looked at me in my eyes and said, it does her heart proud to see a young black man in your position. Said, God has really blessed you. I was young at the time, early 20s. And my thought process at that time, when she said that, was, God didn't do this, I did this. So quickly, over a period of time, God quickly showed me, and that's why I understand his unconditional love. Because if he didn't love me, he wouldn't allow me to go through what I had to go through to help me understand that there's nothing that I have accomplished that wasn't granted to me by his grace. So from that point forward, it doesn't even matter whether I have it or I don't have it. I'll never let go of my relationship with God, and that's something I instill in my children.
All right. So understand that you also do have a ministry on Saturdays that you participate and also lead.
Saturdays, yeah. I'm a member of the Church Without Walls. And on Saturdays, we have what we call our virtual men's Bible breakfast. Every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. From 7 a.m. to 8:30, we engage in men's fellowship. We have a Bible lesson, and it's incredible. On the average, we're close to about 100 men every Saturday morning, thoroughly engaged and talking about God's Word, getting into fellowship, and we have a great time. I mean, the guys are truly awesome.
Okay. Now, Mike, I'd like to tell you that we appreciate, and it's been an honor having you here with us on Worldviews. How could the people find you in order to, in order to join into the ministry if they'd like?
Yeah, so if you want to go to the church's website, the Church Without Walls, and you can inquire there. You can also find the Momentum Men's Facebook page on Facebook. It's the Momentum Men's Facebook page.
All right. Well, thank you once again. And guys, what we're going to do now, we're going to pivot to a quick commercial break. But when we return, we'll have our next illustrious guest. You're now here with Worldviews with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network.
Wow, that's real.
We break the silence.
Gun violence. Trauma feels so lonely.
We break barriers.
I opened that door to drinking after almost 20 years.
We break it down.
It hit me how fragile parenting is.
You're really a great father.
And we're always ready for a breakthrough.
I feel like there was a lot of anger.
I needed to be bigger.
New episodes and so many new conversations.
Red Table Talk.
Premiere September 28th
On Facebook Watch.
Right, and we're back here. Now I'm going to bring up this next two individuals. So what I have to my left here, I have a gentleman, one of the most preeminent recording artists in Houston. Gentleman over to my right, he's one of the most preeminent national recording artists that we have here in Houston here as well. So I'll bring to you now D-Boy Danny.
What's going on?
And Bigg Fatts.
Yo, yo.
All right, so it's an honor to have y'all here with us today on Worldviews with Ken Mills. So give the folks a little bit of introduction to who you are, D-Boy.
All right, I'm D-Boy Danny. Started rapping with Fatts, like around 2012, stuff like that. But these days I'm more in the background. Mm-hmm. But I still get on every one of the Fatts albums, because it's a free check. It just makes sense to do music with Bigg Fatts. But I'm mainly in like the marketing and stuff like that now.
Okay. And you, Fatts?
He's also in management.
Yeah.
I'm Bigg Fatts, of course. BIGGFATTS. If you unfamiliar, you can Google that. What was the question? How did I get started in music? Or
No, just a brief introduction.
oh, just a brief introduction. Oh yeah, well that's really all I have to say, man. I'm really worth a Google. Some people say, so you should definitely look me up if you are into supreme lyricism. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just an average cat, man, from the block, man, trying to make some of himself. You know how that go.
But he's short selling this, guys. Can I just tell you about one of the major achievements that he has? So I'd say this week he pulled up Spotify, and guess what? He had 1.5 listening to his music. And this man here has been working on his music all throughout this year. He got 4 banging projects. Talk about 4 banging projects, and each one of them got food in it.
Yeah, I actually have more than 4. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, you got to go Google it. But yeah, no, the central theme around my titles is always food, because it's a play on. I'm a big guy. You know what I mean? That's easy to see. You know what I'm saying? So. We let the people play with what they need to play with. So I make the albums about food so everybody can have a joke. And then, when they come and listen, I'm a little more serious than what they intended. So, it is what it's a good balance of humor and intelligence. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, myself, other than being a comedian, everyone knows I'm a hip-hop enthusiast. You can tell that by the way I'm dressed, and you can also tell by the promotional. I love hip-hop. So the reason why I lean toward what he's doing is that the type of hip-hop I grew up on that I love is like your Nas's, your Biggs, and this, that, and the other. But we have this same level of talent here in Houston.
I agree.
And he brings it out. And then some of the funny parts about it, even when I listen to some people that you may know nationally, he's with them, right? So he had music with Freddie Gibbs, one of my favorite artists. Me and my wife's favorite artist.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
Gangsta Gibbs gets busy.
Yeah. And y'all got busy on that. You got a plank, didn't you?
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah, we definitely did. Global, by the way. Yeah. Shout out to Freddie, man. And shout out to Ro as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he was going to bring that up. I ain't jump the gun. But yeah, shout out to, the national artists that rock with me, man. I definitely, I appreciate it. Y'all do a lot for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, we're not trying to minimize what you do here as well, because, like I said, preeminent, meaning that you shining above and also you nationally known, but you corrected me because when I looked at Spotify, it was a multitude of countries that listened to you as well.
Right. I think we had like 89 countries this year, so...
Right.
Yeah, we did pretty good. You know what I'm saying, as far as the numbers go. We're going to try to build on that, of course. 1,000,005 streams is cool, but if you know anything about streams, it's not nearly enough for what we're trying to do. So the goal for next year is 3 million, and we're going to keep building on that. Who knows? God willing. You know what I'm saying? And God say the same.
All right. So I'm going to pivot back to D-Boy Danny. Now, I notice on most of these albums that I do see you on it.
Man.
Right? I see you on these, on features. And when I do hear you, you very well-rounded, you very lyrical as well. So just talk about a little bit of your entrepreneurial pursuits that you're working on as well.
Yes, sir. So right now my main thing is my hemp company, 93 Wellness. You know what I'm saying? So a couple years ago, I went to cannabis school, the Houston Cannabis Academy. Houston Academy of Cannabis Science. There you go. Yeah. And basically they gave me a lot of resources, and I already had a lot of resources in California, and I put those together, and we started the company, and we're in stores around Houston.
Okay, so is that from a CBD level?
Yeah, CBD.
So that's flower and edible, correct?
Flower and edible, yeah, mainly flower. What I wanted to do was upgrade the quality of hemp flower in this region for the patients who wanted to enjoy their medicine.
All right, and for what type of patients, what type of ailments do you normally see where they can use that?
So, my mother was in the she worked in the cancer unit my whole life. So I've seen patients get fed a lot of pills, you know, while they're in chemo and stuff like that, and they just shrivel up in the bed until there's nothing up.
Right.
But now, you know, with hemp, you know what I'm saying, it is giving them back their appetite, and they're just going back to living and stuff like that, and it's replacing pain pills right now. Like the pharmaceutical companies can't stand us right now because everybody's going to the safer method. It just makes sense.
So you say it's in multiple CBD dispensaries. Is there any particular ones, or is it just you're in almost every one?
Not almost everyone, but my favorite one right now, which is connected to the school, is New Wellness Today. Okay. New Wellness Today, they're on Fuquay.
45 side Fuquay?
Yeah, 45 side. So you gotta check them out.
Okay.
And check out 93 Wellness on Instagram.
All right, we'll be most definitely doing that. Most of my audience know I went through a health journey, and I rely on CBD for its restorative properties, and also to ensure, you know, that my joints, because I'm a little bit older,
right,
and you know, just calmness, well-being, in order for me to handle and function on my business.
Right.
So thank you.
No problem.
You definitely want to check that out.
Yeah.
Trust me.
So we'll come back to you, Fat. So I see that you got on the PUD Empire chain.
Always. You know, I'm going to rep the clique.
All right. Now, for folks that don't know, I'm going to call it out for you. You got Big Pup. He's the CEO. You got Dougie D. You got C. Green. You got Kendrick James. Then you got this man here, Bigg Fatts.
You also got Fat Matt.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? We also got Low G. He's in another state, but yeah, we definitely got some people. Yeah, man, it's a team of like-minded individuals. You know what I mean, with a common goal. And you know, Pup is definitely the leader of that. He definitely, you know, gives us a lot of knowledge about this music business, this industry. You know, things that we should have in place, we need to have in place, and things of that nature. So he definitely, you know, is the guy running the show, and you know, we the gunners for that. You know what I mean? So when it come to the rapping part, that's my job, and I take it very seriously. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why you get the balls that you do, you know.
Right. And what I did notice, like, with that roster and some of the things that I've heard and seen is that you guys are very progressive. Most of the things that you talk about is empowerment through business and also building a nation.
Right.
And I definitely love that, and I agree with that. That's why I listen to your music. Could you tell us a little bit about any obstacles that you faced throughout your journey through music?
Well, I wouldn't say obstacles because I don't look at life like that. You know what I mean? I don't look at life as, oh, you know, this happened to me, so, you know, woe is me. You know what I mean? I look at everything as a lesson. I look at everything as just a turn in the journey. You know what I mean? So, you know, a door may close, but a window may open. That's the way that I look at life. So I wouldn't call anything, you know, a problem or any issue or nothing like that. I just would say that I navigated these waters very well. You know what I mean? To get to where I need to be. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, of course you got your ups and downs, and, you know, that's life in itself. You know, that's not necessarily a music journey. That's a life journey, you know. Right. Life still goes on with this music thing happening, you know, so I wouldn't really call anything a setback or anything like that. I look at life in such a positive manner that, you know, I don't really take issues into effect. Right. This happened, you know, there's a cause and effect for everything, and, you know, what's the result? What's the resolution of that? I'm more of a fixer, if you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't really look at stuff like, you know, oh, this happened, you know, it shouldn't have happened, or, you know, things like that. Like we were having a conversation earlier, I'm all about results. Mm-hmm. You know, what gets us, you know, I think that's a man anyway, right? You know, what gets us to the best result, you know, so. Maybe it's a little analytical, but
no.
You know what I mean?
Every little small problem we had, basically we built on.
Right.
And made. Like,
so therefore, it's not a problem, right? You know what I mean?
Made major power moves with them. It's like I look back at that. We remember all that.
And
so
you know, now of course you have those things to where it could have been an issue if we allowed it to be. You know what I mean? But we're not on that type of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to allow that to be an issue. What we're going to do is adjust and move on.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what I've been seeing, you know, because I am a hip hop enthusiast. In the rap community, I've been seeing a lot of different violence. Some has come close to home with us. So how were you able to navigate the waters to avoid those type of things?
Well, those are guys putting on the show and getting caught up in the show. That's the problem. You know what I mean? They're believing their own smoke. So, you know, when you have a culture that breeds violence and then you want to prove that you're actually about what you're talking about. So you're overly tough at this point. You know what I'm saying? And you get into it with somebody else who's trying to prove that they're about what you're talking about. Now both of you guys are put into a position where you have to prove everything that you've been rapping about. Well, I don't rap about those things. You know what I mean? So I don't have that problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I rap about wealth. I rap about religion and, you know, being the God that you seek and things of that nature. So like you said, I'm on a nation building thing. So when it comes to the fruition of that, you know, I'm not campaigning for ignorance out here. I'm, you know, the fruit that I reap is, you know, wealth and success. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't have those problems strictly because I don't put that out in the universe. I'm not a shoot 'em up, bang, bang guy. Anybody will tell you I'm not a tough guy at all. I'm just a man that will handle his business if he needs to. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much all it is.
All right. So one last question, and I'll give it to both of you. If you had to tell a youngster right now who see you in all your splendor and see your success and want to get into the game that you in, what would you tell them?
Start. You know, I think everybody likes to go and put this, you know, you got to do this, you got to do that. The first thing that you have to do in anything in life is take the step, take the journey. So if you want to be a rapper, go rap. Go have fun with it. And while you're rapping, I would suggest that you learn the business that you're getting into. Learn what publishing is, what a distribution is, you know, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? You learn about the business that, you know, you don't have to make the mistakes that so many made before you. But while you're learning, you still have to do. You know, Buddhism would say you have to be in the now. You have to do. So my advice to you, young brother, whoever you are, is just go rap. Go have fun. Trust me, everything will fall into place for you if you truly are passionate about rapping. But while you're being passionate about rapping, go and, you know, learn what you need to learn. That's just a responsible thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you, Danny?
And so people ask me all the time what they need to do to get in the cannabis industry. So these is my first little tips. First, see where you at. Go and get the certificates you need or whatever you need to get. Go to school and get educated so you can know the terminology you need to say so these people won't throw you in jail. Like you say, start small. If you broke, figure out what you need to get an order to your customer, a small order. Start from there, build up.
So basically, what you would have to do anything is be knowledgeable about it and start. Just do. You know, Bun B would say all the planning and contemplating when you're going to start pursuing. That's really all it is. At the end of the day, you need to learn what you're trying to do, and you need to go and apply what you've learned. You know what I'm saying?
So gentlemen, I'll start with you, Fats. How can the people get in contact with you, and how can they hear your marvelous music?
Oh man, like I said, I'm very Googleable. I've done a lot of work out here. So BIGGFATTS. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you guys are using this day. I promise you, I'm on it. If I'm not on it, just hit me on the Instagram and tell me about it so I can get on it. But yeah, Bigg Fatts, man. I'm pretty easy to find. You know what I'm saying?
All right, you want to check me out at 93 Wellness. It's 93.wellness on Instagram. And my music is on Spotify and everywhere else. D-Boy Danny, go check me out on that too. Run it up.
Right. And I would hate to mention, I'm a jury connoisseur, and I see this preem team piece.
Oh, yeah, preem.
Yeah, man, we're not hurting out here. You know what I'm saying? Life is good.
Right. Thank y'all both for coming by.
Man, appreciate you for having us, man.
Ain't no problem, man. It was an honor and a privilege. Now, everyone at home, stay tuned. We're going to have a special illustrious guest come on next. You're now here with us on World Views with Ken Mills. We'll take a quick commercial break.
Breakfast at Auntie D's, take one. That's all it's going to take.
Rick and Daddy's on the beat.
Wine, dime, good time, heard it through the grapevine. The type of you that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, good time, heard it through the grapevine. You the type of you that like to get dime don't flipper. Do you the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper?
I like your shoes.
It's to say appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eyes. Look in your eyes. You gotta smirk upon your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
And I'm impressed with your waist, petite shape in your thigh. Compliment you on your beauty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get down anytime. Comfort zone with you.
Cut.
Breakfast at Auntie D.
Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies.
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one.
Is this good?
Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
I'll be right with you, okay? All right.
And we're back. Now, everyone, I'm going to give a brief introduction to the individual here to my left. Now, you can look at our faces and tell there's a resemblance. I'll wait till later to tell y'all. But this gentleman here, very strong individual in the community, over 30 years in the correctional field. Also, one of the greatest ministers once you hear his message that he receives from God. Here with you now, Minister Carl Boyd.
How you doing?
All right, how are you, sir?
I am so well today.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
I am, sir.
Now, before we get to asking questions and all that, I'm going to break it down for y'all. So y'all looking at me, y'all looking at him. That's my uncle, my mother's brother. And he was very instrumental in my growth from all the way up. So everything that you like about me, he instilled in me. So I want to start with you with this. You've been in the correctional field for probably about 30 to 40 years, correct?
30, yeah.
30?
Yeah.
So what was some of the trends that you saw over that time when people started to flood into the correctional facilities?
Well, a number of things come to mind. I think in 1995 or 1994, we had maybe 27 or 28 facilities or prisons across the state of Texas. But at that time, they began to expand to over 100 within maybe 10 years. And they filled them up with people committing crimes, even some non-violent crimes, from the small amount of crack cocaine and things of that nature.
So back then, people were just, they were getting all these crack cases and they was getting the mandatory maximums, correct?
They were getting a lot of time. Just with small amount of crack, they were getting 20, maybe 15 years, some of them.
20?
Yes, I know that some of it was because of their past. They had previous crimes and things of that nature. They had done time before. And so when they got caught with that, the state just compounded some more time on top of that.
Wow. So what were some of the behaviors that you saw in that environment?
Some of the things that I've seen a lot of tragic things. I guess I've seen the guys, when they first come in, some of them think that, well, you hear them say, I don't mind going to jail. They need to rephrase that or rethink that particular comment, simply because I've seen probably hundreds of them when they come in and they get behind that concrete and that steel and that door closed, Then they want to commit suicide and things of that nature. They want to start taking psych medicine and things of that nature. But the worst thing that I've probably seen was a gentleman had committed murder in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been in our prison a number of years. And about 15 years later, his son came in for murder, doing life. And the state of Texas put him in cells right next door to each other, father and son. How this thing was generational. Both of them had life sentences for murder.
Wow. So, I mean, that makes me curious to their interactions. Mm-hmm. So, was it still that type of relationship of father and son at that point, or was it just like inmate to inmate?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. The older guy, the father, mm-hmm. he was the cook for the officers. And one particular day he said, can I take a special breakfast to my son? Today is his birthday. I didn't have time to raise him. I wasn't in his life, but I do want to do something special now that he's living in a cell next door to me. And it was a rule that we shouldn't allow him to take any food that the officers eat, but I did allow him to take that sandwich to his son. I was compassionate in that area.
And I know a lot of the people in the audience, they may not know you, but you're a very compassionate individual, and I guess the kindness that you have in you, like between my mother and you, I accepted that in my life as well. And I know that ministry and faith is very big with you. So can you tell us a little bit about how you began your walk to deliver the message for God?
Well, I guess we all have a past, mm-hmm. and we've all done things that we're ashamed of, or things of that nature. But when I recommitted my life back to God, say 25, 26 years ago, I began to change. The Word of God began to kind of transform me. My thinking, it changed totally. I was looking at things from a different perspective. And it gave me balance in my life to the point where I could make the right decisions.
All right. So when you say that it gave you balance, are you able to go back to like what was the variation or what was the change that you saw that made you make those correct decisions?
Well, at some point in every man's life, he has to take inventory of it, and he has to look at himself in the mirror. And the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. And one thing I've learned, and that is that nothing changes for a man until he changes. Everything around him will change, but nothing will change for him. And if you don't like your life the way it is, then you have to change it. I've done some of everything in my life before. I was a correction officer. I was promoted up to major, voted in as an assistant warden at one facility. But at some point, you look in that mirror and you want that change. And you're going to have to, it's have to be in you to change. A lot of guys that I grew up with, they're not willing to change. And their life never changed.
So, given the fact, you were born and bred in the historic Fifth Ward area.
Yes.
Phyllis Wheatley Wildcats.
Class of 73.
All right, call it. So, I take it that some of your classmates you ran into in your field of work.
Actually, I did. Wow. And some of them were straight A students in high school. Mm-hmm. Some of them were great athletes in high school. And it just blew me away. And some of them college graduates. Some of them almost making the NBA and things of that nature. But that somewhere down the crack or drugs or whatever kind of overtook them.
So at that point, were there any encouraging words or any type of faith-based messages that you were able to provide them to help them?
Absolutely. Anybody can change, as I was saying earlier. It's not over till it's over. A man can change in this life, and when a man changes, then he can really see himself. It's like you got to be ready to evolve. Yeah, that is what life is all about. You got to be able to evolve. Be ready for change. You just like some of those guys I saw that I went to high school with in prison. It just blew me away. How could their lives have ended like this when they had so much potential?
Potential. So I understand that you've retired from the correctional field.
Yes.
And now your main focus is on your ministry at Saturation, correct?
Saturation Ministry Global.
Okay.
Yeah. Pastor Carl Randall.
All right. So what's your mission statement?
Well, we're prioritizing the presence of God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And from what I've seen, from the many lives that you have, I know turbulent times people can't congregate, but it seems as though you try to grasp at every part of the black community to get them in, and also anyone who's interested, correct?
Correct. You have to, the opportunity to avail themselves all the time to do ministries, whether you're in a grocery store, wherever you are. It should be something of that aura about an individual that someone will walk up to you and they'll see that Christ in you, the hope of glory, and that window of opportunity will come in where you can express Jesus to them.
So do you have one moment where, because I know you're a great mentor as well, where you've had a success story with people that you've mentored?
Yes. About 22 years ago, I had a class down at the Salvation Army on Washington Avenue, and the guys over there, it was a number of them, but like I said, nobody is out for change or ready for change, but there were a few that rose above that, and they got out of there, and it was a success in life. They went on to find gainful employment. They got married, and they got back with their wives and things of that nature, and that brings so much joy to my heart to see when a man thrive for change and being successful at it.
You also have some other successes that are outside of the faith realm. I know that your father, my grandfather, used to be heavy into real estate. And I see that you've taken up that mantle as well.
Yeah, it's in our blood. I've probably closed on as many as 30 properties in my lifetime. I used to go down to the auction, Harris County, and buy the properties, and I probably closed on at least 30. My DBA is first class investments. I'm kind of taking a little break from it right now. Retired from I also worked in federal detention centers and every ethnicity in the world, and that was like a really good deal because it was like a tour around the world. Because when those guys would come up and tell me about their country and everything going on in their country, so. But getting back to the property thing, first of the year, 2020, terrible year. So it'll be able to, next year will be a great year, 21.
Right. So normally with those type of investments, you normally do rehab and then you release it back?
Yeah, and then you're doing a service to the community too. You don't want to try to make all the money. You want to make enough to survive on it. If you could help somebody. I've sold properties that I bought at the auction, and the people next door owned the property, but they lost it, and I sold it back to them for a little or nothing. And and this older lady was just so happy that she got her empty lot back, but because her husband, he didn't pay the tax bill.
And is that something that you see more prevalent in the black community as well, with the ongoing onslaught of gentrification that's happening?
Yeah, I see it prevalent, especially in the black community. And I would advise all of the young people, because the older generation have left property to them, and for a little or nothing, maybe they'll try to sell it, but hold on to it. It's going to be, it's going to be worth a lot in the near future. In Fifth Ward and Third Ward, in Midtown, we've seen it already, but even more so.
Well, I'd like to thank you, because it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on World Views here with us, Minister Carl Boyd.
Yeah.
If the people want to get in contact with your ministry, how can they do that?
Saturation Ministry Global. Yes, I'm an under shepherd at the church, and my pastor is Pastor Carla Randall.
Okay, all right.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now, everyone, we're not at the end of the show yet. What we're going to do, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we return, we'll have a special surprise. You're now here with Ken Mills on World Views on Boss Up Houston Network.
Wow, that's real.
We break the silence. Gun violence. Trauma feels so lonely.
We break barriers.
I opened that door to drinking after almost 20 years.
We break it down.
It hit me how fragile parenting is.
You're really a great father.
And we're always ready for a breakthrough. I feel like there was a lot of anger.
I needed to be bigger.
New episodes and so many new conversations.
Red Table Talk.
Premieres September 28th
On Facebook Watch.
Wow, that's real.
We break the silence. Gun violence. Trauma feels so lonely.
Welcome back, family. Now, tonight, we covered a myriad of topics. We had 3 awesome, illustrious guests that came. First, we had Michael Matthews, and I was remiss to say that is my brother-in-law from my eldest sister, Katrina. The second one was Bigg Fatts, who I'm a huge fan of. And also, he's about to shoot out the roof here, so follow him. Then thirdly, we had our elder here. We had Minister Carl Boyd, who gave us his truth, and also a little bit of tidbits of knowledge on how to get back the communities that we're losing. So throughout this whole entire season, we've touched on, a plethora of topics, a whole variety. We started at the beginning with entrepreneurship, and we end here with the black man. So all of this to say, we're at home. During COVID, we ain't worried about COVID. COVID gonna move the way it's gonna move. The presidency moved the way it's gonna move. We walked each other through that. But now it's time for action. That's the reason why I named it the Black Man episode. That's the reason why I got on fatigues. When I used to go to church when I was young, it was a song they used to always sing. They'd say, I'm a soldier on the battlefield, and I'm fighting for the Lord, right? So I was listening to that. I had that in my mind probably the last 2 weeks, because I've been through so much. Me and my wife been through so much. And I'm a soldier for a different cause. God's still there, but I'm a soldier for a different cause. I'm a soldier on the battlefield trying to bring everybody together. That's why we had a multi-generational crew here, right? So we started off with a middle-aged black man, very tenured, husband, father. Then we went to a younger black man. Then we went to an elder black man. In order for the black man to come together and to build this nation and community, we all got to be on the same accord. This experiment tonight in the green room, which you guys weren't privy to and you didn't see, we had a full-on conversation before we began the show. And the most poignant thing that came out of it, everybody was in agreement with one thing. In order for us to win, we got to be unified. So this is what I'm pledging for everybody to do. If you see a young brother out there and you see him going astray, or if you even see any one of the brothers, old, young, whatever, and they in dire straits, pull them to the side, give them an encouraging word. If you got a few dollars, if they want it, help them. That's what we need. We need to help each other along. But at the same token, look, kindness sometimes could be a weakness because it could be taken advantage of. We all need to pray for discernment so we can understand the proper situations and how we need to move. So for the black man, I give you these 5 tenets, and I wrote these down on my internet page, and I kind of did it in a very colloquial and conversational way. But I'll tell you this. First, your business is your business. Don't worry about the next man's business. Don't be worried about any salacious things that are around you. Stick to your focus. If your focus is providing for your family, do that. Stay out the way. Because a lot of times people lose their life that way. Second, we talk about the old law. The old law is don't run your mouth about things you don't know about. Okay? So what that means is be accountable for what you're doing. If you out here and you doing bad things, you out here selling dope, or you scamming, or you doing this here, don't cry when the people come get for you. Because Minister Carboy told you, everybody talking about they ain't scared to go to jail. When they get there, they crying. And remember, you got a pistol today and you shooting at somebody when you could have talked to them and stayed at the pen. They ain't got no guns in jail. You're going to have to use your hands sometime. Violence is not the way to solve anything. Talking and understanding and coming into agreement is. Sometimes we can agree to disagree and move around. Thirdly, one thing we didn't cover. The black woman need to be protected at all costs. That's how we got here. And that's our vessel to bring about life for the nation that we need to build. So, y'all talking about the twerking video. Y'all talking about in Dallas how they was twerking and they was getting it on. Y'all worried about the wrong thing. Worried about the reason why they twerking. Is they trying to impress you as the black man? And if they is, what is the standard that you setting in front of the woman that feel like she got to downgrade herself in order to impress you? When I met and married my wife, we talked about this on Pursuit of Happiness. It wasn't nothing carnal. It was her mind and her spirit that attracted me. Fourth, respect the elders. Now, I know sometimes we've been given a foundation, and like Michael Matthews said, when he was young, he thought he knew everything. But it was an older person that gave him the blueprint for where he needed to be. Listen to the elder people. They've been out here. They've been out here long, and they know the reasons why things happen. You may not be able to see them because you may not have lived long enough. And number 5, no procrastination. What that means is, what you want to do today, do it. Fatts talked about this. He said, I asked him about what would he tell somebody want to rap. He say start, research. That's the same thing I did in my life. Start. But I research and we building and we building. Never be afraid. Know who you are, know what you want to do, and know what you're capable of. And if you do need help, just like Michael Matthews say, bail out, go get some help. I say all these things because this is going to happen. We'll go on to season 2. Season 2 will be here at the top of 2021. I really want to thank you all for rocking out with us the entire year. I love you all. I know sometimes I see everybody viewing this, but I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear what you have to say. If you have any suggestions on topics, also, if you just want to chat, you can find us on Ken Mills on Facebook. You can also reach out to Boss Up Houston Network, which is on Facebook and IG. You can also go to World of Comedy 5 on IG. You can also go to World of Comedy 5 Entertainment on IG. But stay tuned with us. There's many beautiful shows that are on Boss Up Houston Network. You can watch those until we come back. But when we come back, we're going to raise the ante. You're going to see a totally different location, vibe, everything. Just stay tuned. But thank you all. World Views here with Ken Mills on Boss Up Houston Network. Love you all.